Partners, we have a sad and unusual story this time around. It's the story of an American patriot who's much loved. He fought the battles and won freedom for America. But when it came to relations with his son, I'm sorry to say he was a loser. But you can't say that about this week's honoree. You can't say he didn't try. As a matter of fact, for the first 20 or so years of his son's life, Dad and son were the best of friends. In fact, that Dad and son got along so well is even more powerful when you realize that the son was not really the man's legal son after all. Our honoree was not married at the time the boy was born. Hey, back then, it's prime and proper colonial days to have a child out of wedlock was thought to be horrible. By tradition, the son should have been an outcast, but instead the man who fathered him took him to his heart. It's really a heartwarming story. Over the years, our honoree did everything he could to provide his son with the best of everything. He even took him overseas when he went on special assignments, introducing him to the most important people and political leaders of the time. Eventually, the boy's father would pull strings that would help his son become governor of New Jersey. It was only when the son was in his mid-20s that the relationship between dad and son began to sour. When the American Revolution got underway, the son, who was more of a traditionalist than his father, assisted the British cause. He cooperated with London, openly spoke against his father, and called for George Washington and the rebels to be arrested. But when it was all over, it was the son who was arrested. He was dragged out of the governor's mansion in New Jersey and put in prison. He likely would have been hanged had it not been for the fact that his dad was so well loved. Over the years, Dad and son grew farther apart. Then in 1782, the son went into exile in Britain. Only once did the father and son meet again. On a trip to Europe, the dad stopped by to see his son. There was no making up. The meeting was very matter of fact. The old man left in tears. The illegitimate son had been raised and brought to fame, had not only abandoned him, but abandoned the American cause. And that's the way it ended. The old man never saw or heard of his son again. The old man we're talking about was Benjamin Franklin. You see, even the strongest of fighters and patriots often lose out in some parts of their life. It was a sad ending for Benjamin Franklin, so I'll see you again next week. Until then, you know the drill. Find that great big red X at the top and click it, and you'll be genuinely, magically transported back to the report page. I love you guys. Go get 'em, Tigers!